Our top stories. A 35-hour curfew underway in Ukraine's capital as the mayor warns Kiev's at a difficult and dangerous moment.
There is a real sense that the danger, the conflict is coming closer, and a feeling here now that nowhere is safe.
Amid the bombardment, a symbolic success as 3 EU leaders visit Kiev in a show of solidarity with President Zelensky.
You are fighting for your lives, your freedom, but we know that you are also fighting for our lives and our freedom.
A journalist arrested over her protest on Russian state TV endures 14 hours of questioning before she's freed after receiving a fine.
Well, while the war continues inside Ukraine, outside the country, vigils and memorials have been taking place across the world, including last night at New York's Metropolitan Opera. The Met held a special concert to offer support for Ukrainians. The performance was broadcast live in Ukraine and around the world. It was a sold-out show, and the proceeds will go to charities helping with the relief effort inside Ukraine.
Let's quickly take you through the morning's front pages. Putin turns to Plan C, reads the front of the Eye. They're taking a look at Russia's latest invasion tactics. Here's the FT. It leads with the UK and the EU levelling sanctions against the Russian military and hundreds more of its oligarchs. The Metro focusing on the implications those sanctions will have on access to luxury goods. Ukraine will never join NATO, reads the front of the Daily Telegraph. The Guardian also taking a look at this story. President Zelensky acknowledging that Ukraine will not become a member of NATO. It's a big story, and no surprise then that the Times leading with it as well. And the developing situation in Ukraine, once again, the front of the Express. Their headline, hell on earth, but a glimmer of hope for peace. The front of the Mirror, it takes a look at Boris Johnson's trip to Saudi Arabia to talk oil and energy supplies, amongst other issues. And some other news, the front of the Sun profiling the US ambassador to the UK, who's bidding to take over Chelsea FC after the departure of Roman Abramovich. And what happens when a Zelensky lookalike, a Putin lookalike and a Kim Jong-un lookalike come together? If you want to find out, pick up a copy of The Star. And if you want to see those front pages again, maybe even The Star, or read the stories behind the headlines, scan the QR code on your screen right now, and it'll take you straight to the press review on the Sky News website. Now, the UN says that more than 3 million people have fled the war in Ukraine. More than half, 1.8 million in fact, have gone to Poland. Others have travelled to Hungary, Romania and Slovakia, as well, of course, as further west. UNICEF has confirmed that 73,000 Ukrainian children have become refugees every day since the conflict started. That amounts to 55 kids every minute.
Ukraine's President Zelensky speaks optimistically about ongoing peace talks with Russia.
The positions in the negotiations sound more realistic. However, there still needs to be more time for decisions to be in Ukraine's interests.
Smoke billowing across the capital this morning, 12 hours into the 35-hour curfew in Kiev. The city's mayor warns it is a difficult and dangerous moment.
More than 20,000 refugees escaped the besieged port of Mariupol, but there are reports that more than 400 people are being held hostage in the city's hospital. And there's been loads happening overnight in Ukraine. John is in the studio with us today and can bring us up to date with all the details. John, what's going on?
Yeah, it's 3 weeks ago today that this invasion started. And you remember back then people were talking it could be over in 3 days, that Russia could take Ukraine in 3 days, which hasn't happened. Interesting hearing the Foreign Secretary there talking about how things have apparently stalled from the Russian perspective. That's confirmed as well this morning in a statement that the MOD have put out. They say that the Russians are struggling. That said, the capital, Kiev, is still under real pressure. This is what people in the city have woken up to again this morning. We've just had these pictures into the BBC. This is in the west of Kiev. Several explosions reported in this residential neighbourhood At least 2 blocks of flats damaged there, according to the emergency services, and they're currently searching in the wreckage for any survivors and casualties. Now, because of the risk of shelling in the capital, Kiev, at the moment, there is a 35-hour curfew underway. Look at that beautiful picture of the sun rising over the central square, but look closely, it is completely deserted. Nobody is out. They have to stay where they are because they've been told to take shelter. The mayor of Kiev has said that this is going to be a difficult and dangerous moment in the campaign, and lots of people have decided to hide again and shelter in the underground metro stations. But diplomatically, at least, there is some hope this morning, because overnight the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, we've seen this picture so many times over the last couple of weeks, haven't we? He has said that peace talks with Moscow are beginning to sound more realistic. Let's hear from him.
It is important. It is difficult, but important, because any war ends in an agreement. Meetings continue. As I am told, the positions in the negotiations sound more realistic. However, there still needs to be more time for decisions to be in Ukraine's interests.
Now, these talks are going on behind closed doors. We don't know why he is sounding a bit more positive. We don't know the details of what they're talking about. But despite all the destruction we have seen, there does seem to be a lot of talking going on. President Zelensky not just talking with the Russians, but also he's been meeting with the prime ministers of the Czech Republic and Slovenia and Poland. They travelled to Kyiv by train, a hazardous journey. Some people were worried it wasn't a very safe thing to do, but they got there, and he's also meeting NATO defence ministers meeting today as well. Just want to take you as well to the southern city of Mariupol. We've heard a lot about that port city and why it's strategically so important. The deputy mayor of Mariupol has claimed that there are 400 people, including doctors and patients, being held, he says, like hostages by Russian troops in an intensive care hospital. We're waiting to get more information on that. Getting information out about Mariupol is really difficult at the moment because basically there's no power, there's no water, but we'll get that when we do. We'll bring it to you. And after days of delays, 20,000 people have managed to get out of Mariupol overnight. They've come out on buses and cars and lorries. And here in the UK, the government has confirmed that so far 122,000 people have registered an interest in hosting Ukrainian refugees who finally get to Britain. So that's the situation in Mariupol this morning. And I think, Dan and Sally, that's something you're going to be talking about now in terms of the rescue effort.
We are. John, thank you.